Both individually and together, award-winning documentary filmmakers D.A. Pennebaker and Chris Hegedus have taken viewers remarkable places, on Bob Dylan's last acoustic tour, to David Bowie's retirement of Ziggy Stardust, and inside Bill Clinton's 1992 presidential campaign, to name a few. Their latest film, Unlocking the Cage, follows one man's quest to gain greater rights for animals. Chris Hegedus and D.A. Pennebaker join us now for 10 questions on documentary filmmaking. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
D.A., I wanted to start with you. Documentary filmmaker, do you consider yourself that?
No.
No? What do you consider yourself?
Kind of more of a historian, but I'm not sure quite what the word throws me. I know the word documentary is, because when we started, if you used that word in front of anybody who ran a theater, that was the end. You were never going to get the film in the theater. So we sort of avoided for a long time the use of it doesn't describe what I feel when I'm making these kind of films.
So what would you describe yourself? What would you call yourself?
A watcher.
A watcher. And Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Penny. We used to call it the D word, you know, because we never said documentary. We would just say that we make films. But yeah, a storyteller. I guess I'd call myself a storyteller.
And second question, Chris, how do you approach a project?
You know, usually a project approaches us. You know, somebody has seen one of our films and, you know, they have an idea that they think we would be good to make a film about. And, you know, that's what happened with our last film, Unlocking the Cage, and most of our films.
And this is for either one of you. Question 3, when you begin a project, do you know where it's going to go?
No. You don't know. That's part of what makes it exciting. It's an adventure. And the adventure for both of us.
Yeah. I mean, we always kind of think of it as detective work, you know, both in the filmmaking because we follow real life stories, so we can't know where they're going to go, and there's twists and turns along the way. And then kind of the second part of the detective work is getting back all your material and looking at it and trying to find that story that you shot somewhere within your material.
But I'm thinking that you probably learn a lot about a lot of different subjects because you do this in so many different areas, correct?
Well, you do, as long as you remember it. But you know, just I think there are no yellow pads in our operation.
Number 4, Chris, you both made The War Room, which was about Bill Clinton's 1992 presidential campaign, but he's hardly in it. Why?
Well, we couldn't get access. I mean, those actually, you know, when you're talking about what you need to do a documentary, is you need access and money. It helps, but access is the prime thing. And when we started to do The War Room, we approached Bill Clinton, but he had a photographer and a newspaper journalist following him around. He didn't think he wanted, you know, 2 filmmakers following him. So, you know, basically George Stephanopoulos, who was the communication director, said, well, you know, if you want, you can follow the campaign staff. Well, you know, following the campaign staff was a little bit like the booby prize because, you know, if Clinton lost, we would have a not very saleable film about the, you know, campaign staff of the losing president.
And who wants to see that?
And not anybody would want to see that.
Hard to sell.
You know, but we thought we'd get our foot in the door, and you know, luckily we met, you know, James Carville, who has to be, you know, one of the most brilliant characters you could ever ask for. And you know, we kept hoping that we'd get more with Bill Clinton. We got little bits more, but not a lot. But you know, being in the War Room was a place that nobody else was, and that's what you want too.
And a question, the next question is that part of the secret formula, like finding the most interesting person and keeping them on camera?
Well, usually the person that impresses you with their passion for a subject, for an idea, usually is a pretty good person by nature. That makes him a good person. So I don't measure it that way. I mean, I don't look for a personality as you would if you were doing a theatrical film. It just follow. I don't know. It seems to follow. They always seem to be. There are people that become my best friends, and that friendship lasts as long as we do. I mean, we still talk to James and George, and they're best friends.
I was going to ask you that too, if you keep in touch with some of the people that you followed, and if those relationships just end as soon as the film is done.
we do for years afterwards, but then they kind of drift off. But I think that bond remains because usually, especially in electing a president, you've shared something with them that's one of the most important moments in their life, and that bonds you forever.
And DA, the next question is posed for you. Have you ever found yourself in a situation while shooting that you felt like your presence was affecting the outcome?
No, but I have had the feeling that I wasn't wanted.
When?
When we were doing a film with Al Sharpton, whom we really liked, and he was going to run for president, and we had started what was a terrific film, we thought, and it got complicated by he was changing things in his life, and I think he didn't want us to be watching them, and it was clear to me that we were not welcome, and so we passed.
And for both of you?
That was hard to do.
Really? Because you had that story, wanted that story.
Well, we just liked him, and I mean, he's such an amazing person. He turned me into a Christian in his church up in Harlem, because when I listened to him talking, I just was overwhelmed with a fantastic preacher he was. And he apparently had begun that when he was 7 years old.
Yeah, he's a great orator.
Yeah.
So far, what has been career highlights for both of you?
I have to say that being there when the war room, when James and George and the whole team elected Clinton president, or were part of the electing him president, was a very special moment to be around. But, there's been exciting moments for different people in many films. I think in our latest film, Unlocking the Cage, being with Steve in the last courtroom that we were in with him was an amazing experience, because I don't think he expected his work to come that far.
And DA?
My greatest adventure has been with Chris.
That's sweet. Why?
Well, it's true. When I met her, and we talked for maybe an hour, and I was about to go out of business. I was in bankruptcy practically, and I saw no hope. And in talking to her, I thought, this is the person I should have met years ago, because she understands what we're trying to do and can help us do it. And so we didn't go bankrupt, and we survived. And I think that's largely because of what she brought to us that we needed.
So working together has made you stronger?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely, we share the adventure.
I mean, it's wonderful to share the adventure. I mean, especially when you're shooting, it can be very lonely at times, because your characters really like having you around if things are going well. But when things start not going well, they don't want you there. And then, we grab onto each other and we get strength. But during the editing process, which is more of the creative process, we usually get divorced once or twice during that.
That's right. Sharing your creative, whatever they are, whatever the genes are that make that happen, is a hard thing for anybody to do. You come to terms with it, but it's a hard thing to pass to somebody, because it's so personal. It's so somehow internally to your whole
it's a feeling
brain that it's like throwing your children away.
And what would you say filmmaking has taught both of you?
That there are things you can do in the world that are just so worthwhile, you shouldn't even think twice about doing them. And that's one of them.
And DA, over 50 years in the business, any stories left that you still wanted to tell?
Well, you never get over it. I mean, it's like you're taking home something that nobody's seen before, and you're putting it under the Christmas tree for everybody to fond, and that's an incredible thing to be able to do.
And what would you say to anyone who wants to make a documentary? What advice would you give them?
I usually just say, go out and do it. I mean, if you're really passionate about something, just get out there, get a camera, and start shooting. And
Nice.
It's too hard sometimes to wait for the financing to come in, and the idea can pass by, and it tests you to see if you're really interested in the subject if you just go out and begin.
And I would say, never work for anyone but yourself. or your partner. If you're gonna, that's what I learned from my first person I worked with was Francis Thompson, a filmmaker who made a fantastically beautiful film. And I realized what an artist was. He was a person that never gives up what he wants, his dream. He never gives up on it.
Well, congratulations on everything that you've done. You are truly a remarkable duo, and it's been such a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit supporttvo.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.